Welcome, everyone. This is Pollock Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
Guerendis,
Hello, everyone.
Kilabathian,
Hello.
and Arendis.
Hey, everybody.
Hello there. And this week we have not much different types of news, but the big piece is something that will probably take a few moments, and that is we have update 26 was released. And this is update 26, the Mists of Wilderland, which was released on Thursday. They're hoping on Wednesday, but as you know, as soon as they move the regular restart times to Wednesdays, they've been a day later on their updates. Just
I know.
Mark that right. All right. A special note, through the ages of the world, many people have inhabited the Wilderland. In the latter days of the Third Age, Bjornings, dwarves, and the Great Eagles all considered themselves protectors over these northern lands. With conflict brewing in Gundaband, these protectors now share the common goal of keeping the wells of Langflood safe. This update debuts our new free storyline, The Legacy of Durin and the Trials of the Dwarves, in addition to offering a new quest pack called The Mists of Wilderland. The quest pack is free for VIPs and will be available in the LOTRO store in the future. Note that this quest pack is currently free to all players as part of the initiative to make all quests, raids, and instances free through April 30th. So this quest pack is not currently available in the LOTRO store, and that means that if you get on it quickly and you're a free player, then if you have a high enough character, of course, then you might be able to play it now and not have to wait till you buy it. But May 1st is next Friday, so keep that in mind.
Already?
So let's go over.
Nothing.
Okay. Let's go over our updates, and we'll begin what changes we have in the various classes. The Ornings have improved strafing and attacking, while strafing in bear form. Well,
how does a bear strafe?
I mean, that sounds interesting.
Obviously, strafing means something slightly different. Because when I think of strafing, I'm thinking of this aircraft, coming.
Yeah.
I think it just has to do with the movement.
Yeah, I know. It's the movement. It's when you're moving side to side is what they mean by strafing in an MMO.
But I don't know why you would even need to do that as a bear.
I don't know.
Maybe
because
if you get cornered by a pack of wargs. I don't know. In that case, though, I don't want them to be moving that fast because I'll probably be one of the wargs.
Well, yes, there is that.
I'm just suddenly going back to the whole treasure hunt and the bears wielding pickaxes. Now they can strafe, so we've got machine guns somewhere.
Well, fortunately, MMO strafing doesn't usually involve strafing. That is, of course, unless the MMO is called. Was it Aircraft at War or something like that? Something. I know that there is, probably because they have these at war type series where they have one for ships, they have one for tanks, and I think they have one for aircraft also. I can't remember the exact names of it. So unless it's that type, I don't think they mean machine gun type strafing in an MMO.
I have heard some references to strafing as far as, combat movement and being able to move your character while moving the camera at the same time. So I could be wrong, but if that's what they mean, then that's useful.
It does have to do with that because you're usually moving the camera. That's what I mean, because you're moving you're moving left and right while fighting, and sometimes it also involves turning in a circle in such a way that you keep your foe on you as you do it. So circling your foe as you go around them. I think that also might be one of the skills involved with strafing and the like. But I don't do it all that much, so I'm certainly no expert in that matter. I wonder if anyone in the chat says. Oh yes. Oh, that's right. Someone was mentioning we'll get a surprise in May. We didn't get any more information from Cordovan on that. Yeah, I know. We were going to. Yeah, so horses look very funny when you run left and right without going forward or backwards at the same time. Yeah, that is the way things go sometimes. Let's then head on what next. The Bjorning skill counter now has sound, and other skills that were missing sounds now have them. Oh, Sanswinda, you'd like to know that Stout Shield says that strafing can be a good tactic if you're a blue line hunter.
Oh, okay. I'll have to find out later how strafing is different than kiting.
Well, I think in kiting, if kiting, of course, means moving away from the sunlight. Yeah, there are certain advantages to kiting, of course, but if you're in a narrow area, there might be advantages to strafing.
I'm thinking I might have to learn more about this strafing thing.
Yes.
It's sounding beneficial.
Yes. Sam Burke says, I don't tend to do strafing in LOTRO, but I've done plenty of games like Counter-Strike. Well, with Counter-Strike, you might be carrying a semi-automatic gun with you, I would think.
and not be in bear form.
Yeah, not be in bear form. And you're probably not in bear form, yes. Yes. Captain and Lore Master companions now follow to the side of the player at a closer distance. Now, can you do that for skirmish soldiers?
I mean, or have an optional follow further away if you're a burglar.
Well, yes. Burglars would like them to be following further away.
Yeah.
I would think that hunters would want them, if it's a following type, like an herbalist, you might want them following a bit closer simply because sometimes if you're a hunter and you have a skirmish soldier that's behind you, they don't see the fight, so they don't do anything. Apparently,
they heal themselves.
Yeah, they heal themselves. No, I think they might heal. An herbalist might heal you, perhaps, simply because they do sometimes do healing while not in combat.
If you're close to the mobs, then they start. If they get close enough to the mobs, they actually start healing you.
Yeah.
Whether you need it or not. So they end up building up aggro on themselves before you actually get there.
Yeah, there is that. Well,
the best part is when you're in a skirmish with somebody else who has an herbalist, and the herbalists spend the whole skirmish healing each other.
Oh, yes.
Been there, done that.
Yes.
It was super not helpful at all.
Sam was saying he hasn't been on a Captain or Lore Master since the update. Now, I have been on a Lore Master, but I was doing town-type quests. So you
were one of those conscientious Lore Masters that didn't have your bear out despite the fact that you weren't actually out in the wild killing things?
Right. I did. Yeah, I didn't have the pet out.
Unlike 90% of the other Lore Masters in LOTRO?
Yeah. I think I might have also, there might have been a thing where I was temporarily fighting some things in a low-level zone, but, fighting things in a low-level zone didn't exactly require me to bring out a pet either, so I might not have had one there either.
My Lore Master had a pet out this week. And it was pretty nice. I didn't feel like I was in too much danger of, catching my pet on random things that were way behind me. And it was in perfect position when something attacked to just attack. So that was nice.
All right. Champion DPS has been increased generally across the board. Well,
yay.
But you haven't had a chance to try it yet?
No, I haven't actually been on my champion, other than for Hobbit Presence.
All right. So we might hear more about that next week. Burglar. Starting twists should now properly remove corruptions again. I don't think I've faced anyone with corruptions when doing starting twists, and that's assuming that I remember to actually use that skill. Yeah, I don't think I was facing corruption-type enemies on a burglar since then. Runekeeper Lightning Crits. Now, these are the most controversial updates. Boy, there's always an update on one of the major updates where the boards explode. This is definitely the one.
So much whining.
Yeah, they were whining. Essentially, there are some things where apparently all the Runekeepers were A, using the same tactic, and B, they're a little OP, so you know what's going to happen
They're
there.
a lot OP.
Yeah. 1. Lightning Runekeepers were made too reliant on critical hits by the huge lightning critical bonuses they received from offensive attunement. These have been rebalanced. I think the word is called nerfed. Yeah. Lightning skill damage has been increased by about 10%, and that was to compensate for the loss of the critical hit stuff. The epic conclusion damage over time now lasts for 8 pulses. And when I said to compensate for it, I meant to compensate for it to bring it in the line where they wanted it to be, not to make it as powerful as it was before. Yes. Epic conclusion damage over time now lasts 8 pulses. I can't remember what it was before. Closing remarks no longer consumes buffs. And Ceaseless Argument and Writ of Lightning now both have 3-second cooldowns.
That's gonna suck.
Yeah, Ceaseless Argument is no longer ceaseless.
Right. I mean, you could just spam the crap out of that skill, and you can't do that anymore.
Ceaseless Argument is now bound and gagged in a corner.
Yes. Well, I think I tended to switch to something else before coming back to it, so maybe it won't affect me as much. But then, of course, I probably wasn't one of the overpowered Runekeepers because I wasn't as reliant on some of that stuff. In fact, I might have actually gained a slight buff in all these changes based on how my Runekeeper tended to operate, which I know is scary on how I played the Runekeeper. Tactical crit bug fix. We have fixed the source of a major bug causing most tactical skills to crit substantially harder than intended as stats increased. The effect was never visible in the character sheet or in the tooltips, but I'm sure the Runekeepers are including that in their complaints. All skills and effects that previously benefited from crit magnitude bug have had their base effect boosted by 20% to help balance for the reduced DPS/HPS of the fix. And healing effects were rather heavily affected by the critical fate bug fix, and we further reduced the base crit level of most of the heals due to the heavy over-reliance of crits for healing throughput.
Ouch.
To counteract this, base healing has been increased, making base heals quite a bit more powerful. Since gauging the overall healing over time has been impacted by these changes due to their being greatly dependent on how much fate the healer was previously wearing, we will be keeping an eye on the impact.
So
Sam
I
Burke
was
said,
probably right about fate being extra beneficial.
well,
If they're not making the crits, then they're probably not going to be pushing out as much healing as before.
That would be true, and it'll be harder to heal things back up. But if the base healing was increased well enough, it might even out.
Yeah, we will have to see that over time. And Sam Burke says Ceaseless got a cease and desist order.
Pretty much.
Yes. Crafting. Ploughsman Loaves recipe now produces the correct crit result. It was previously producing rye flour oat cakes instead.
Weird.
I'm just trying to think. Rye flour oat cakes. I guess you're mixing rye and oat together. Yeah, okay. Let's get to some items. The Adventurer's Quartermaster and Adventurer's Steelbound Loot Box now have Moonlit Adventurers Essences boxes and Warmly Moonlit Adventurers Basic Essence boxes. whatever that means. To provide alternate sources of legendary item consumables, the Traveler's Quartermaster now offers special scrolls of empowerment and starlight crystals for moats. These items can be used on any legendary item before it is imbued to improve the legacies. After imbuement, the scrolls can be used to unlock legacies through tier 74, and the crystals can be used to unlock the main damage healing legacy through tier 58.
Let me guess, though. It's not like you buy one scroll and it unlocks it till, 74, right? Like, you have to keep buying lots of scrolls?
Well,
you
yes,
have to keep
it's
buying.
one per. Yeah, it's one tier per. 500,
So Minas
I think
Tirith
it's
is still a way better deal because embers are hard to come by. And you need them for your gear.
Yeah, because they still aren't letting you ash
Because
the...
you can't ash the things that they're giving you.
Yeah, 90% of the stuff that drops can't be actually deconstructed, which is a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
The Adventurer...
so useless new edition. Cool.
Yeah, okay. The Adventurer's Quartermaster offers the same scrolls and crystals for embers. In addition, the Adventurer's Quartermaster offers scrolls to unlock legacies through tier 79 and crystals to lock through tiers 63, and I believe those are 5,000 each or something like
and
that.
those are even harder to come by. Ay.
Or did I get the right numbers, or was I 10 times too high on those? Well, whichever it was.
Even if it's only 500, though, that's 500 you can't spend on your new gear, and that's a lot. When you get 10 at a time. You might get 100 at a time, depending on if you actually get something worth ashing, but you have to get it, so...
You do have a point there.
What would be really helpful is if they would actually go back through, since they're making all of these updates to the older zones to put them on the legendary servers, if they would actually go back through and fix all of that old gear so that you can ash it.
Hey, that'd be useful.
So that when you do a run of Karn Doom and you get 50 bazillion thousand things in your inventory, instead of, sending them to alts or selling them off or just trashing them, you can just ash it and collect the motes or embers or whatever it is we're supposed to be collecting. I don't know, I lost track.
It's like motes unless it's in-game content, at which point it's embers. And so you can get more motes than embers if you're over level, but if you have any alts coming up behind you, you probably need those motes for their gear.
Well, there is that.
If you don't have anybody coming up behind you, then you might have extras, or you might not be doing the content. Doing the content doesn't guarantee motes, though, so...
No.
Yeah. Well, even if they went back to some of them, I doubt they would
The
have
only surefire way to get motes is to open up lockboxes. Blah.
Aha. Yep. So, in other words, it sounds like this is not passing the reviews here.
No.
Sans is still hoping for a better way to
I want a way to do a guaranteed way to earn the currency to get the stuff that doesn't involve 42 days in Minas Tirith. I want it to be better than a 42-day grind to get the stuff, is what I'm saying. Even if the stuff has a random chance of dropping from instances, or skirmishes, or... even if it's a random chance of the actual thing dropping, that'd be better than a random chance of the currency dropping.
At least the scrolls are available at skirmish camps. So.
Yes, if you have lots of marks, Pine. Good job.
Well,
I think you should test and see if you can max out one of your weapons using the marks that you've accumulated, just to see how far they actually go.
Mm-hmm.
Or do the math and don't spend the marks.
Well, there is always that. The Earring of Spring's Arrival, Earring of Spring's Promise, and Earring of Spring's Right mistakenly suggested that you could summon flower petals around your target, when they only summon petals around yourself. The item descriptions have been updated.
I thought that was accurate, though. I summoned them around Terry. Maybe I'm thinking of a different earring. I don't know.
Yeah. West Rohan Endgame Quick Beam now changes progressively more Fangorn leaves for more potent IXP brews. Oh, wait, he was charging the same for them or something?
Maybe?
I don't know. That's not what I'm spending my Fangorn leaves on.
Two-handed Wayfarer axes are now properly categorized as axes instead of swords.
As you do.
Stilettos are now spelled stilettos instead of stilettos. In other words, they now has only one L instead of two L's.
Yes, very good, says the English teacher.
The new Spring Festival mount is now located in its proper category in the Skills Panel UI. The Gift Givers brand, acquired from Roving Threads, is now account-bound rather than character-bound.
Yay!
Woot.
Very, very cool.
Yes.
That's a good way to get scrolls. I would totally do the roving threat grind.
Though it'll take a lot longer than 42 days. Sorry.
You know what? I would do it. I would do that before I would do 42 days of Minas Tirith. Just saying.
Well, I'll help you out, but I'm not going to be spending them on the scrolls. I'll be equipping all of my future alts with First Ager.
Yes.
The following steed-granting items from the Buried Treasures event will no longer auto-consume when you acquire them. Treasure-laden steed, cave claw steed, treasure-laden goat, and treasure-laden coat, and harvest brew goat. And the quest starting items, Virtues of the Valor 50 and Virtues of the Valor 95, now properly bind to your character. The Virtue XP scrolls received from completing these quests remain account bound. And certain Maladream armor now has a max equip level of 94. This is to prevent abuse of certain equipable bonuses at higher levels. And certain Erebor jewelry now has a max equip level of 94. This is to prevent abuse of certain equipable bonuses at higher levels.
I'm not sure that's abuse because you're having a major trade-off, but sure. Do I want stats that benefit me, or do I want this one bonus?
Yeah, well, there are some people who go into old stuff into a raid just for this one bonus because they don't think they need the stats during the raid.
It's true. Some bonuses might be worth it, but it's a trade-off.
Yes. Osgiliath's armor sets now have a max effect level of 114, probably
similar reasons. Either that or they just want to randomly unequip things on people. So that you're like running around and suddenly in your underwear.
So you think they do it for the yucks?
I don't know. But it's totally happened to me before, and I'm like, wait a second, why am I now wearing only my underwear?
Oops.
Oh, guess I leveled up. Congratulations, me.
And in Monster Play, Weaver skills Tainted Kiss, Virulent Poison, and Mephitic Kiss now use tactical damage instead, like other acid skills. Mm-hmm. Well, that took that long enough.
Yeah. Monster Play. Yeah. The buildings.
That's what it was. They fixed Weavers, so they broke the Moors. It's all the spider's fault.
That's how we got those interesting walls. Yeah.
It's all the spider's fault.
The spider's fault. Well, actually, it was related to the physics engine updates, but that's another matter.
I mean, we could blame Bjorning strafing, too.
Anyway, though.
Blame the Bjorning strafing.
Blame the Bjorning strafing.
Hey, every chance you get to blame bears.
Those machine gun bears, yes.
Those stupid bears.
They had to move the walls just in case.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like, off on a tangent, I know, but I cannot even tell you. I was in a voice chat with Gray when my game finally updated, so I logged on Terry to get the boxes and stuff because so Gray had the pleasure of listening to me read out the letter that we receive, summoning us to the new area that tells you to go to the Bjorning House, so he can tell you how very thrilled I was to get that news.
Well, there is that. I have a feeling that when we talk about which option you take, since you have the choice of either going to the regular quest, starting the Bjorning House, or going to the Duran's epic storyline, which goes to Scarhold. I have a feeling which one you're going to do.
I got the letter asking me to come to the Bjorning House. I'm going to go see the stupid bears. But he said that he was sure Grimbjorn would be happy to see him. And I said, ha, good luck with that. So that's the whole reason I'm going to go to the Bjorning House to start that quest. Because I'm sure that he's going to tell me that Grimbjorn was not remotely happy to see him. And why was that?
Well, there is that. NPCs, Bjorning trainers no longer have power.
This actually made me laugh out loud when I read it the first time.
I know, right?
Because why
did they have power in the first place?
I guess that's a question that nobody really understood, so they finally fixed it.
Now, though, isn't there a Bjorning trainer in Moria that's a dwarf instead of a Bjorning?
The one in Bree is.
Oh.
I run past him every time I cut up the hill.
There's
to
a
go to the
bear
fireworks.
trainer that's not a bear?
Oh, that's right. That's not the trainer. It's I think it's the legendary item trader.
Okay, that I can understand, but I mean,
right, those are trainers. Okay,
bear trainer that's not a bear. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, you're right. That would be really silly.
I'm going to train you to be a bear, even though I'm not a bear. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I have transcended all bearhood into the nirvana of Ursine power.
Just transform and see if you can scare me. Nope, try again.
Oh, well. Let's go into quests and adventure areas. For Angmar, Urugoth deed, the orcs of Urugarth. Many more orcs of Urugarth now count for advancing this deed, and as follow-up, note, if unfinished, its progress will be reset after the patch is applied to the live games world. Because apparently there's a new version of it, but it looks like, though, that now there are more. What, there are only a couple of the orcs we're counting? Oh, that was weird.
Maybe?
And Dunland Dunbog instance, Tusks of the Boar, selecting warrior allies will no longer cause them to take on the appearance of a ghostly Dunlanding.
Oh, that's good. That's been a thing for a while, and I didn't realize why it was a thing. I just knew it was a thing. Yeah, when Sarissa went through that stuff, I noticed it was a thing that was happening.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, the two quests do go in opposite directions, and you notice that quite a bit in LOTRO is that they usually have two different directions for the quest line, where the Epic or Black Book or whatever quest line is will sometimes go in the opposite direction and start in a different place than the main quest line. That is, they're hoping that half the people will take one route and half the people will take the other route, and thus not overburden the server as much when they first open it up.
Yeah, it doesn't actually work.
And the one example of that was when they open up, when they first did Eastern Rohan, for example, the Epic then quickly started in Lothlorien and sent you into the East Wall, while the regular storyline took you into Lacho to get your
War Steed.
And so therefore, I didn't see much lag in the area because I think most people went to get their war steeds.
Yeah.
Well, I tend
Highlife was that one guy who was following the story.
Yeah, was following the epic story instead. Yes.
That's why he didn't have much lag on Warsteed when he got there either, because everybody else had already been there, done that.
Yep. It helps. Especially if you're recording it for YouTube. And in the East event, defensive Wallstow, allied NPCs will no longer prevent the player from receiving credit for defeating enemies. Well, that's good to hear. And Ered Mithrim, Quest of Flight of the Grey. The quest can now be cancelled. Eregian School of Tharn Midain first. Lygod the Blade Swords are now of a slightly more reasonable size, and his drama no longer fails to display a few lines when he begins to fight, and they fixed a bug where Commander Tarsh would continue spawning after his defeat.
Why won't you die?
Yes. Oh, and Sam Burke, of course, sometimes he follows Bingo Boffin as a third potential path, which I think I've done on occasion also. And Heligrod Dragonwing, higher difficulty tiers now properly award marks and medallions. What, they weren't any before? And Minas Morgul, the Fiend House. The Fiend House now has a point of interest marker on the map in Minas Morgul. Also, in Hekad Uel, Quartermaster, fix a typo in the barter category name. In Bar Nirnath, the House of Lamentation, it is now possible to leave the instance through the instance entrance door. Well, that's good to hear. Fixed physics issues near certain objects. And now, why did they? It's interesting that they went through trouble talking about physics updates here, considering that physics updates were another major thing that they had in here. And they must have broken something in it and then fixed it in order to get around what they broke. Morloth's roots now start out of combat for 3 seconds upon spawning in to allow players more time to get within range before they begin using Quaking Earth. Well, that's good to hear, I guess. For Mirkwood, Barad Guldur Quest Challenge, King of the East, players who were defeated during the fight against the lieutenant will now properly receive credit for completing the challenge so long as they do not retreat.
Oh, good.
So therefore, don't retreat. Mordor, Talat Rui, quest lurking in the flames. Rockworms in Talathrui will now display that they are valid targets for this quest on their mouse over tips.
Yay!
And Moria Dern's Way quest, a fungus takes flight. Players can no longer become stuck on one of the cages used to imprison Globsnaga. Okay.
That's very helpful.
See, Sam, let's see. You go into the Great River, Bingo? Well, that's nice, but I will go with the Great Company to Isengard first. You'll just have to wait for me and the elves until then. Yeah, that is always the thing about that. Yeah, wait a little while, Bingo. Yes.
Sorry it took back to you. I was in prison.
Yes. Well, Bingo was hearing the history of the elves and so writing it down. And of course, it took him a long time to read those books. Skirmish, Ford of Bruinen. Eladan and Elrohir have been buffed in all group sizes and now have rapid power regeneration.
So they can get into more trouble more quickly? Is that what this amounts to, Pine?
I think the purpose of it is so that it can survive.
I thought maybe so that they could actually keep aggro on something long enough to die.
I was about to say, you know what would also have helped keep them alive? Not having them be suicidal maniacs to begin with.
I mean, it might help them actually kill things, though, and I would be all for that.
Look, the elves are going to do what the elves are going to do.
Yeah, I think from what I saw on Borer, at least, it looked like the melee one got a buff in morale, and the archer one didn't get as much of a buff in morale, but I have a feeling they might have buffed the offensive capabilities a little bit more, probably so he could get into more trouble.
Hey, it sounds like it'll be more fun.
We'll see how that works out. And in Storm on Methedris, the solo version of Ekrud now uses weaker fire-based attacks as he was slightly too powerful.
That's good.
Yeah. And
that's the one that basically said, hey, there's that elf standing back there halfway across the world. I think I'm going to send my fire at him.
Yep, and that's the one.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, despite that, I did manage Skirmish from Middle Earth on every single class, so obviously he wasn't so overpowerful that it was impossible to do, unless I kept on losing boss fights after completing all the encounters. Always a possibility. In Skirmish, stand at Amonsul, Bjornings now properly benefit from the campfire buffs. Of course, that also means that they probably also properly get hit, I'm assuming, by the darkness, because they weren't being hit by that either. I'll have to test that out. And Skirmish, the Siege of Gondoman, NPCs now have more appropriate weapons.
What did they have before?
Well, before, the weapons that they had didn't necessarily, because they were called different trainers, because one of them was a hunter trainer, one was a lore master trainer, I think. No, actually, was it oh, that's right. The champion trainer was the elf who seemed to be equipped as if she were a lore master, I think.
Yeah, because the way it was phrased, I was like, so did they need like a sword to do this, and they had like a candlestick? I mean,
No. They had weapons, but they were called a trainer for a particular class, and it's just that, well, they didn't have weapons appropriate to that class.
You know, the fix to this problem should have been given champions access to staves.
I mean, that would have been a fix.
That would have been an appropriate fix to this problem.
Well,
a stave in the hands of a champion acts like a two-handed club?
Yeah.
Somewhere between a two-handed club and a two-handed sword?
Something like that.
Something
a lot
like
of damage,
that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Now to Wildermore, High Knolls, Beer Tour, Quest, No Proper Grave, Burying Animation now plays a sound. In Wildermore the Fallows, Quest, Preparing a Siege, typo fixes. This sounds like stuff that came up on the Legendary servers, I would guess. Then Westament Helm's Deep removed an invisible frog.
I think that's my favorite one. So many questions.
You know it's there?
Because you could see the word floating above the floor, but you couldn't see the frog. I actually have a screen cap somewhere. I got to see if I can find.
If you can find it, can you send it to me, please? Because I have not seen this yet.
All right. From the Veils of Undoing, Lulstroke, Quest, Fear Without Name, adjusted quest objective volumes on the map. Whatever that meant. And on Hultvis, the protectors of the veils no longer phase and are always visible. That's right, because I think you had to do certain things before they would phase in. So we had We used to have ninja protectors. Now we have a ninja, and that's for. See, we lost ninja protectors and we lost ninja frogs at the same time. How about that?
They just have something against ninjas, apparently.
So I think in LOTRO it would be more appropriate to say burglar. Yes.
Burglars aren't ninjas.
No. And
Burglars are
burglars
really
can
not
be seen
ninjas.
sometimes.
Right, yeah, but turning invisible, though. That's why I said Bergs might be more appropriate than
Ninja frogs.
for LOTRO. Yes.
Teenage ninja frogs.
Yes.
I was thinking that.
Session play, The Fall of Moria. Reduce the vitality of the cave claws and deep claws in Azanarukar.
Hooray!
Oh, thank God.
Remove some of Nafni's slower-paced skills.
Yay.
Cool.
Added a new skill with a 30-second cooldown, Nafni's Speed.
Woohoo!
Nafni's Speed boosts our playable dwarf's run speed by 150%, letting him zip through the Grand Hall of Moria much more quickly.
Woohoo!
Oh, yes, that is a long run.
It's such a long run.
Now I kind of want to replay this just to zip through the hall.
All right. Okay. Lunori's Stout Shield suggests that maybe ninjas are Easterning burglars.
Hey now. Don't besmirch my burglar's good name. I am world renowned, I will have you know.
A world-renowned burglar.
A world-renowned burglar, that's right.
Terry, Dorlin wants to know how you really
Tell us how you really feel.
The quest, formerly known as Ash of Gorgoroth, has been updated and rewritten to reflect the current disenchantment system.
So now people will be more confused when we say we ash something. That's awesome. I wonder how they rewrote it though, and what it lends itself to.
Is the new quest name now a symbol?
Maybe.
Never mind. Session play, we cannot get out. Reduce the vitality of several types of orcs, except for Mazog, of course.
More yay!
Yes. Session play, the prisoner of Samath Ball. We're going to hear several yays here. Reduced the vitality of the slugs in Samath Ball and removed their slowing puddles.
Yes!
Oh, thank you so much, Standing Stone, because this is honestly the worst session play ever.
Lowered the duration of the motivating induction from 7 seconds to 3 seconds.
Yes!
Yay!
Lowered the duration of the persuading induction from 10 seconds to 2 seconds.
Yes!
This might actually make it not the worst session play ever now.
Yes. And removed some of the bloodletter's unnecessary skill clutter, such as Dark Faith, Time of Waste, and Staying Alive. So they got rid of
Skills you basically
alive.
never use.
They wasted waste.
Like, you have all these skills, and there's no reason to even use them.
Yes. Session play, The Fate of Laerden. Reduce the vitality of orcs, half-orcs, and Angmarim.
Oh, good.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that was a real brutal session play.
Yeah, that session play is rough.
Yeah. And session play, Daughter of Strife. Reduce the vitality of Durab orcs, but not the leader.
Cool.
And Minas Morgul in-game quests now give additional reputation tokens.
Yay.
And Minas Morgul 3 and 6 player instances now give reputation tokens on all difficulties, including solo.
Yes.
Right. And one of the treasures of Lingris is now accessible again, just by a different path. And travel routes in the 21st Hall that require certain quest states will now properly appear once they have satisfied their quest requirements. This affects 2 travel routes, the goat to the Great Hall of Durin and the goat to the Hall of Flowing Water.
Good. That's pretty cool.
Some typos have been corrected in the Veils of Undoing content. All right. Some typos fixed in Thorin's Hall. Fixed typos in Gloomthorn, Scourge of the Aaron Lasglen. Fix a typo in Bolrud, Ancient Lights. Fix typo in Return to Saragost. And during the Courage from a Keg, in Wona now does his cheer properly. And Something Secret will become available on May 13th. Good luck!
Ooh.
Now, the question is, what is this secret thing that will be available? Anybody have any good guesses?
Nope.
Sounds like
your
a good
very
secret.
own ninja frog.
I have a feeling it's not going to be a ninja frog.
No, probably not. But it would be funny.
It would be funny.
Yeah, so none of us can figure out. Yeah, so it sounds like none of us have any good guesses on what's coming on May 13th, but I'm trying to think, what could be May 13th or anything, or what reason? I suppose we have a couple of weeks before we're going to find that out.
I was about to say, what happens? Is there anything that happens in the books on May 13th?
I tried looking that up, and I did not see anything significant in the month of May.
When is the wedding?
Okay. No, the wedding's on Midsummer's Day, which
would be midsummer.
Right, and midsummer, using Tolkien's definition, of course, is the solstice.
Okay.
So June.
The end of in Tolkien's world, they shift the calendar is shifted 10 days, so it'll actually be it's a month. It's actually a special day between 2 months. It's not actually part of a month. It's between the last day of June and the first day of July is Midsummer's Day.
Weird.
They do that so that you don't have. So that all the months can have.
Okay, but practically
speaking,
for us, it's the end of June.
Yeah, practically speaking, for us, it's the end of June. Yes. All right, we will go with that. So we will find that out in a couple of weeks, and we'll see if anyone can make any good guesses before then. For traits, Staldak's racial trait Unyielding Will no longer gives vitality in addition to will. And as for
probably good.
As for UI, the Sheila Vital Portrait frame will now correctly be visible when active on a target player. And fix a typo in the known to Lossos deed. And as for miscellaneous things, a correction has been made to the game's physics engine to improve game performance. That's that tiny little thing at the end, and for some people, that's probably the most important thing.
Burying the lead.
I mean, on the one hand, the performance does seem to be improved. On the other hand, the Morse is really broken.
I mean, or the hilarity was improved.
I haven't tried to run around Minas Ethel yet.
Well, they moved the hilarity to the moors from the Pelduvan bump I always got trying to get down to the South Gate to do Minas Tirith dailies, because I would go slalom means sideways up the hill towards the encampment, almost inevitably, at least 2 or 3 times a week, just trying to get down there, because the leg would be so bad, and all of a sudden I'd be like, whoa.
So if we do manage to get in our usual Tuesday Minas Morgul run, then we will find out then Because right now, Minas Morgul, now we'll find out was the physics engine thing, Minas Morgul thing, or the two combined together, which made things really bad. Because the lag was really bad. I'm sure Terry Admin will agree with that.
Yeah.
And those are the updates. That's update 26. Whew, that's a great deal. It took a long time to patch that.
It did.
Yeah. Please note that there is a known issue that that the deeds are not awarding Virtue XP at the time. This is a known issue. This is a bug, and they're hoping to fix that. They're hoping to get a bug fix patch out next week. We don't know everything that's going to be fixed yet because they're sifting through all the bug reports. And of course, they want to see how much of it they can actually be able to get in time for a patch next week. So expect another patch next week. So I suspect it won't be nearly as large as this one. Let's then head into the LOTRO Beacon, issue 157. I am going to assume that that is from new content in there.
Look at this very nice picture. Doesn't it make you want to go there? I like this picture.
Well,
there's not a spider inside.
There's not a spider. There's not a spider web. It is gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, yes, the lack of spiders does make it nice. Let's then head into the community spotlight. Hobbit Heart and Shire Rose present a Light of Hope. Well, it'll be tomorrow if you're listening live. Otherwise, you would have missed it on Laurelland. Perhaps the details will say how you could hear it afterwards if they're recording it or anything like that. And A Day on the Green Fields travels to Sirenin. Well, they went to Sirenin this weekend. You click for further info on that. And Raging Raiders beat Shelob on T3 Rimmerhat to gain server first on Arkenstone. You can find their video on the link.
Good job.
Tier 3 Rimmerhat. Oh boy, that sounds like, well, not fun for at least.
Not nearly as picturesque or beautiful or lovely as the picture at the top of the beacon. Probably more adventuresome and like action packed and stuff though. So
Sam Burks said apparently this must have been for you, Sam. Said he's been a fan of Spider-Man since he was 6.
As long as Spider-Man is nowhere near me and not in my sight, Spider-Man is cool.
Yeah. I think I was probably more like 8 when I started watching that one. Let's see. Game Story makes videos for LOTRO's Russian community on YouTube. And we read a LOTRO for Dummies book is a kinship on Langeville. We read a LOTRO for Dummies book is a kinship on Langeville with a focus.
I love that pen name.
Yes.
So great.
With a focus on helping and guiding players new to MMOs in general, or returning players looking for a community to help them out. All players are welcome. If interested, send a tell to Kaladir, Osmoth, Torlin, Shamdar, and
Simulthrim?
Simulthrim. Oh, we'll go with Simulthrim. Yes, that will be fine. And that's on Langeville. So yes, if you have a name like that, then you better be tolerant of people who are noobish. So let's go to our weekly comment. What is your favorite reward from the anniversary event?
The Sigils of Battle and Greater Sigils of Battle and Commendations? Oh, wait.
Anniversary tokens?
Anniversary tokens?
I haven't looked at the free side rewards at all yet. I'm planning to.
I almost always love the new horses.
Yes.
I haven't decided how I feel about the new one this year yet.
Oh, I haven't had a look at the new horse. I guess I better have a look at that so I can make my
Regal Revelry. Collections panel for the win. Pine Leaf. Because it's not out anywhere. It's not actually in Bree where the rest of the ponies are. They have the Dragon Steed twice, but they don't have the new Regal Revelry Steed at all anywhere.
I mean, the name sounds really cool.
FYI, it's not at Hank Stacer's either. Me and Kenny went up to double check.
Yeah, no, it's not anywhere. It's in the collections panel, and that's the only place you can preview it. Also, you can Google it, because there's pictures online.
Well, I still love my Eagle fireworks from last year.
Well, there is that. I'm surprised no one said the toast emote.
I do like the toast emote. I still wish you could barter for it. Also, a super fan of the Gramps Foot Crackler that you get as an 8-year creep.
Yes.
Yes.
More on that subject later.
Though I'm sure there are a great number of people who like the celebration pig.
That was pretty cool too. I haven't had mine out, but the ones I've seen have been awesome.
Yes. Yes, Kellevorn called his Ein Swine. Like
Swine.
Yeah, Ein Swine.
Nice.
I was boring. I just went with the classics. I named mine Wilbur.
Aww.
Well, I have one named Bacon Bits, and another one of my characters has Blue Plate Special. So.
Well, I guess because I don't generally have pet names showing, that I rarely get around to actually renaming my pets for that reason.
I don't always rename my pets, but usually if it comes up with something that's kind of really dumb looking, I will rename the pet. The pig's default name is Peony, so a lot of pigs are going to get renamed.
Well, there is that. Yeah, my favorite reward is... Ooh. Trying to think what oh, it's because you have all those emotes that you've been collecting over the years and stuff like this. So it's like, okay, which one is the favorite? Like that blue orb. I think it's the blue orb that you get through.
Oh, bite me! That's next year.
That's too many years away for me still.
9 years. 9 years you get the blue orb. I got 1 more year to go.
5 more years.
I was giggling, by the way, because Lunori in the chat said he named his pig Sporkler, which is awesome.
Yeah, Sporkler. Yeah, that has got to be the best pig name I've heard. Then let's try our fan site news. Last week we queued up for Pi. And on LOTRO Steam is your first stop for LOTRO. On Twitch, you can check out shows by Druid's Fire, The Tolkien Scholar, and Skymanic. And also on Twitch, Yiki raises funds for Doctors Without Borders. Yelark raids, and Ending runs the Black Book of Mordor. And over on YouTube, Benubris explores J.D. Kempton starts fresh, and Canal do Dastan quest. Then let's head into our screenshot of the week, where Guerendis and...
I was going to say, hey, I know one of them.
Baldric.
Yeah, okay. Okay, you say this, Guerendis, since you're involved.
Guerendis and Baldric from the Knights of the White Lady kinship bring light to the darkness with coordinated outfits. Thanks, Leonardi, for sending in this week's screenshot. Submit your screenshot by emailing it to contact@standingstonegames.com.
All right, there you go. So you went through a lot of trouble to coordinate that, or was that by accident?
I had the quest rewards already and been wearing them, and it was decided that they were pretty awesome to quest in, and got things matching up. And then, well, story for the photo shoot is later in my highlight.
Okay, then I will save that for later then. And then that is it for the weekend. So it is now time for our store sales. And Terry, what's for sale this week?
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
LOTRO bonus days gives you also nothing good because you get 25% extra embers and motes. Woo. We already talked about how we're not really getting embers and motes except through loot boxes and yeah. And on that vein, you get 25% off keys, which I'm not buying from the store, and a bunch of legendary garbage. So the legacy tier upgrade and the legendary item stat upgrade, and also universal solvents for those people that are crafting essences that don't already have 50,000 universal solvents lying around. We got like 10, 20, something like that. Oh, and then the weekly coupon gets you a free one just in case you don't have one already. Coupon code is SOLVEME now through April 30th.
And I should note that they had a little snafu with the code because apparently either they posted originally with an E and the code didn't have it, or vice versa. So they updated it so that either one will work, but only one use of either of them. In other words, you don't get two uses.
One per account.
Right, one per account, whether you spell it with the E after the V or without it. Let's then head into our new player question. And what's the question for this week?
I actually did the new player question this week because of what happened with one of my characters. He got his first age legendary weapon, and
congratulations.
So, yes, thank you. So I had the question: what's the difference between a third age legendary and a first age legendary mechanically, and why do we want one over the other?
So way back in the olden days, before imbuement was a thing, the first age LI capped out better than the third age LI. Now,
it also starts better.
It also starts better. Well, it caps out better.
I'm just saying it was better the whole way, like even if you never capped it.
Yeah, it started better and it caps better. Now, in theory, you can cap them both the same. You just have to grind more to finish capping out the third age as opposed to the first ager because there's less scrolls and whatnot that need to be done. I still think it's a grind for legendary items just in general. So
yeah, no matter what. There is also the thing that is on the lower level ones that when you are getting XP for it, while you got a lot better on how much you got on the cap and stuff like this, but I think they were more expensive to level up. So you got the extra points on there, but it also cost. So there was a bit of a trade-off. While you are leveling up, you probably don't want first agers, but of course, as soon as you get to the level cap,
or you have unless you're running with a tortoise stone, tons of XP things in their pockets and can just send
I mean, if you're running a character with an XP stone in the pocket and you're not actually leveling and you're at level cap, then you want a first ager for that particular level. Like as Sarissa was coming up, she was capping at 75 and 85 and 95 and now at 100, and so she had crafted second and first agers for all of her levels coming up.
Yeah. If you can craft them yourself, they're...
No, I found people that were nice enough to. I don't craft.
Nice people. Oh, you're right. You don't know. Right. Or if you have nice pennies.
People that take they take pity on me because they know I don't craft, and they're tired of hearing me complain about how my character's weapons suck on the podcast. So they're like, "Here, have this weapon."
Or maybe they like hanging out with you and they're like, hey, I've got crafters who need to do something.
Yeah, that too.
The other difference, of course, is that first stagers tend to cost, what about 100 times more, something like that, depending on on the AH.
Yes, they are more expensive on the auction house, but with the gift givers brands, they're not that expensive anymore because their gift givers brands are account wide, and it only takes 50 to get an LI, first stage LI.
Well,
So, like,
yes,
where
but
would you...
no, but does that
Sorry.
give you actual LI, or does it give you the thing that you need in order to craft it, which means you have to have
No,
get
you
it
get
to
the
it gives you the
LI.
actual LI.
Oh,
It's a
And it's
first
bound
stage
to count.
LI.
I was about to say, where do you
my
actually
main
go
goal
to
is.
get it?
The item, I believe, is still bound to character that you get, the LI. You can go to any gift giver's brand barterer or roving threats person with the quest over their head.
The Roving Threat Quartermaster.
Yeah, the roving
Okay.
threat quartermasters all have them. And
All right.
at least the last time I checked, which was earlier this week before the update, you can only barter for legendary weapons from them. So you can barter, if you're a hunter, for both of your allies, but for a class like a minstrel, you can only barter for your weapon. You won't be able to barter for your songbook. So there is that consideration, but it cuts the cost of getting first stage allies in half.
Yeah.
All right.
all right. Yes, Sans knows a little bit more about first stagers. Okay, a lot more than about first stagers than I do. Let's then head into our weekend LOTRO. And Terry Adwin, what were you up to?
Well, Sarissa failed to get the treasure horse again. So I got frustrated with the treasure horse quest and decided to go finish up in Eastern Gondor and finally cross the river toward still not Minas Tirith. She's still not anywhere close to Minas Tirith because now they're sending her to scout around Osgiliath, and it's what? Yeah. South Athelion is not a great place to be a burglar because you have these mob groupings that are like 5 and 6 at a time. And those are really hard to do when you're a solo burglar. Because there's only so many you can mess, and then you have everything else. So Hips got a workout, and she found the red circle a couple of times. But she did finally make it up to Faramir's Lookout, and she did a couple of quests for the Rangers on the way. The new Rangers, because she's dealt with the Dunedain and the Grey Company and whatnot. And now there are new Rangers, they're South Athelion Rangers, and we're not real sure how we feel about them right now. They seem particularly useless because there's like stuff in Barharan that they wanted her to do, and she's like, really? You have to go make arrows and then distribute them in these quivers around the town. It's like, really? And then she met the brothers, Daraphin and the other one, Dwylin, I think his name is, and did the first of their quests for the Mumok, which I know how that ends, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but yeah, I actually paid more attention to the quest text this time when they're asking you to choose between which of them you want to accompany on this. Because the one is like, well, I shoot arrows at things and do this from a distance. And the other one's like, well, I get right up in the enemy's faces. And I'm like, well, I don't actually want to be with either one of you. But I guess if I've got to pick, I'll be with the brother I can actually do stuff with. So she went with the melee brother because there's not a whole lot she can do from it. Ooh, I can throw a knife from a distance. Yeah, so, and then more stuff at Faramir's Lookout, and now they're asking her to go scout into the Morgul Vale. So that should be fun, especially now that way is open, and there's actually mobs coming out the other side. But, she's got stealth, it'll be fine. And then did some roving threat stuff, but more importantly, I got some lore master tips for my Valor lore master from Finn. So she's all set for when she finally has to face on-level mobs. She's nowhere close to being on because, she's still in Volume 3. Because this is the character that I valored and probably took back to do tourist mode. So she, finished up Volume 1 and the the rest of Volume 2, and now she's in Volume 3, and she's only in Enidwaith, so nowhere close to on-level mobs at level 107, but when she gets there, she has more strategy things. And that was really super helpful. And also, he let me inspect his gear, so I took a screenshot and I have an idea of where her first stage allies actually need to be when I finally get all of the things to get them there. And then the final thing that I did this week was I discovered that my warg can use her 8-year Gramsfoot Crackler from stealth. And many shenanigans happened after that, because yeah, you can totally set off fireworks in the wars from stealth, and it's glorious, especially when it actually works at luring freeps close to you so that they can be nommed on.
Or scares them away.
Or scares them away, conversely.
That was equally hilarious.
Because we were, because there's a progress bar as you're setting the firework, but you can do that totally from stealth. It doesn't pop you out of stealth. And then there's a slight delay after the progress bar is done before the fireworks actually start shooting up. So you can move away from where you set it. So if somebody comes to investigate where these fireworks are coming, they're not going to find you. It was awesome. So, Calabathian, how was your week?
Well, about 20 minutes after last week's podcast ended, my Berg, Morkindir, I got him doing the treasure hunt, and Sarissa was there with me, and, I got the treasure-laden horse from the treasure hunt. And that was the first time he'd really been there, maybe the second time he'd been there, second day. But, Terry Sarissa was there when it happened, and I was kind of talking, and she's like, "Oh, hey, what'd you get?" And I was like, "Hey, let me see." And it was a huge cache, and I went, da-da-da-da-da. And then I was like, "Yeah," and I stared at it. I was like, "I'm sorry." And she she goes, "What?" And I go, "I got the treasure-laden horse." And she called me bad names, and she hit me with a fish. But yeah. So second thing was that Celevorn went strategically leaping to his doom to get that deed. And I proved that I pilot mounts like a drunk even when I'm sober. Apparently there was no difference between me, someone putting me on follow, and me kind of trying to pilot my goat in Moria and the actual Moria goats. That hurt my feelings, though.
It's true.
And then, of course, I went through my first roving threat hunt on Celevorn and wound up with enough stuff and got introduced to several new people. And that was how I wound up. Someone decided, I said, "Hey, first stage weapons, I can make them for you." He kind of offered it to all of us, and I took him up on the offer. And I have a sword and a bow for Celevorn, and they're both first stage. Now I have to figure out what to do with them. Because, like I said, I really haven't messed with LIs and stuff. But yes, Guarendis, how about you? How was your week?
Oh, well.
Okay, other than last night, let's not get into the whole last night thing offline.
Yeah. But, Sans, plug your ears, because I got to talk about where I've been questing in Mordor. And it's not a place you'd really like, I'm pretty sure. I continue questing in Lingris. Actually, I discovered today that as opposed to all of the joking I've made about how Legolas can't tank after my first encounter with him in the epic quests, going after what do they call them? Wood trolls. Yeah. He got me loose from some spider webs today, so I'm kind of looking at him a little more kindly than before, although it was really kind of freaky awesome to just see the orcs kind of go bloop and disappear from a web from up above. I did some deeding in Dor Amarth and some deeding in the Wastes this week. That actually got me 2 more chapters into my Allegiance storyline. I'm at level 12 now with the elves. And during some of the deeding, when I was running around, I ended up between that and the Linguist questing, and a little bit of a photo op with my kin leader, Luanori, on one of his alts, Captain Baldric, and we ended up in Screenshot of the Week, and we were both kind of flabbergasted, I think, that actually happened, but very happy. And well, Fun with Kinnies Part 2, this morning, one of my kinmates was level 96 and is now level 97 because of our shenanigans. Needed his first level 100 LI coming up, and Luminori happened to be on this morning, and we just took him through North Downs and Evendim and Forakel and Misty Mountains and cleared out all of the roving threats in each zone, and he had enough to get his first LI, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, since Window, what did you get up to this week?
Well, this week I led an impromptu roving threat hunt on Sunday and a planned roving threat hunt on Monday night. Runt says hi, by the way. And and I think it went pretty well. Definitely cleaned up some roving threats and had fun, and
I forgot how much fun it was to run with Ploy. There's a lot of trash talking, and even if you don't actually know them, you can join in, and they're all cool with it. So, yeah, because Runt said hi, and I was like, who are you?
Yes, Runt was like, just say Runt on the show. But yeah, I think it was fun. We went through like 5 areas and just cleaned out the roving threats Monday night, and so that was pretty good. And there was a few deaths crossing the lines in Angmar, but nothing too horrible. There were also a couple disconnects, but it happens when everybody's online. And then I killed red mobs in the Lone Lands with a group of low-level Stout Axe Runekeepers that Maven, Nitesh, and I rolled. One of them is named Baba Ganoush, and one of them is Baklava, and the other one has just an ordinary dwarvish name. But yes, we had some fun running around. We're like, hey, things are going great. Just, questing and killing our ways through the marshes here. So, let's see if we can find some higher level mobs. And we kind of went up and we're like, oh, hey, look, these ones are red. Oh, they're dying too. All right, let's keep going. They did not die as quickly. There were a lot more deflex and reflex and dodges and whatevers. But we killed them, and it was very satisfying, even though they got more hits in on us. So, that was pretty cool. We drew the line at purple mobs, though we did not attack any. We also did not run into any because we got distracted by a piece of jewelry that needed to be returned to its owner. That we did not return to its owner. We just escorted the owner around because we were super coordinated. So, it was a lot of fun. And there were a lot of hairy, oh no, are we going to be able to make it through this moments? Which were pretty awesome. So, that was cool. And
we're going back.
Right? And then we did some running in the moors this week and admired the new scenery where you can look into the keeps from the outside. And there are walls where there shouldn't be. Except the walls that are where they shouldn't be, you can run through them, even though you can't see through them. It's really confusing. I was following a couple people around who seemed to know where they were going, and all of a sudden they would run into an invisible wall. I'd be like, oh, yep, nope, they don't know where they're going. Alright, let's see if we can find the actual exit here. But that was fun. And, got to admire the difference between the keeps and the outposts, because the outposts you can see through from the inside too, which makes them extra interesting. The keeps look mostly normal on the inside, Tuliskarnen is a little bit off from the inside, but most of them are about the same from the inside. So, so from the inside, you can't tell that people are outside looking at you, but from the outside, you can totally see all the way through. But from the outposts, you can see both directions. And so it's even easier to accidentally run through like this open space. You're like, oh yeah, like there's this great big opening here. Nope, that's a wall. So yeah, quite interesting decor going on. But the fireworks were amazing. I don't have any, but some of my friends do, and setting them off to celebrate victories, to draw freeps, to in general cause havoc. It was a lot of fun. And definitely got some noms in, and yeah, it was fun. And I got a few of the steel tokens to trade in, but haven't gotten anything that I really wanted from the boxes yet. So, how was your week, Arindis?
My week was good. I went skirmishing with a group on my level 120 Bjorning for the first time, so that was fun. My level 66 champion is about to head into the Protectors of Thongelhad skirmish in the Epic. It's going to be the first time that I've ever done it before, so I'll keep you posted on how many deaths actually occur. It'll probably be quite a few.
It's a defensive skirmish. It should be fine.
You'd be surprised.
Just take Pineleaf with you. You'll be fine.
That is true. Pineleaf, I might have to talk to you about this.
It's his favorite skirmish.
If you don't mind, Pineleaf, that'd be awesome. But we can talk about that after.
Yeah, we can talk about that after.
I also was part of the group who did the running on the moors and laughing about the keep overhauls and the new fireworks, or the 8-year fireworks, excuse me. I have way too many screenshots that I need to sort through of just fireworks going off. And we had some fun with the warg emotes with some other wargs we ran across in Gramsfoot as well. It was just a lot of fun spending time with friends on the moors. So that was the gist of my week. Pineleaf, how was yours?
For my week, I started with my lore master. On my lore master, I returned to the Great Mountains to learn how the dwarves have fared while I was away in the Morgul Vale. That, of course, is the new content that I'm talking about there. So I want to go into details on that. And on my honor warden, I dealt with numerous orcs in the Entwash Vale. Because we all know that we need to kill orcs that are in the Entwash Vale. So I finished up my questing there.
The only good orc is a dead orc.
Yes. And for Friday Night Fights, we first ran Fort of Brunnen with, this was with 6, we were a 70-ish group. I was level 70. I think we had people all scattered all throughout the 70s in the groups. I was low at 70, and I think we had someone that's at 79 or 80 on there. So we had all those in that range. We ran it at 76, I think. And yes, Eladan and Elro here did survive the skirmish. And that was despite the fact that we just couldn't get the trolls into the water to get knocked down so that we get rid of their shields. I think we went through at least 3 cycles of the waves before any of the trolls we could damage them. So trying to get a hobbit to describe to them, come this way, bring them this way, because if you keep the trolls over there, they're not going to ever take any damage. But eventually we managed to get them down and finish that skirmish. And Eldan and Aurora here did survive, which is good news there. After that, we ran Glinkant, which is the Enuminous instance with the trees in it and the dark waters and really all that annoyance in there.
Garden. Also known as the Garden in Anonymous.
Yes, I keep on forgetting that. So, yeah, the Garden, that sounds like a much easier to pronounce name, too.
Right?
Yes. Yes, we ran the Garden and managed to finish that. Then we ran Hall of Valandil, or Valandil's Tomb, I guess, and so we were running with, so therefore, it says this is the same group, so we were running around 75. We decided to drop it down to 75, even though I had hit 71, I think, by this time. So we went through there. We had to run the boss fight 3 times before we finished it. The first time we ran the boss fight, we were just saying, okay, we have no idea what we're doing here, so we just went around doing what we want and didn't have any set strategy in there. And of course, we eventually wiped because the boss went around there every once in a while screaming at someone and causing them to die instantly.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a problem. Then after that, after they whittled us down and did that, we decided to try it again. So we looked up on the wiki to see what advice does it give in order to do this. We followed the advice and
Wiped again?
that made it go a lot quicker because we died 3 times faster. We decided to scrub that idea and decided we did not have the group composition in order to do that effectively. So what we did is we went back a slight variation. We did what we did the first time then in having the tank take both of the bosses at the same time. And we did keep the ranged people separated as much as possible. And we did concentrate on the main boss first. In other words, not Valandil, but the other boss. And we concentrated on him first instead of attacking Valandil. But we ignored the rest of the advice that was in there, and that time we succeeded. So we finished that, which I think might be the first time we finished that instance on Friday Night Fights. And that's what I did this week. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, go to the donations page. You can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you wish to support us without joining Patreon, you can send the funds to Draculetta at email drac@lotrplayers.com. This week, we have an email from Glamborn of Landreval, and who would like to read this?
I will.
Okay.
All right. Glamborn of Landreval writes, spoiler warning.
Oops.
So, cover your ears, la, 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 turn on, whatever, just, what you turn on, turn down, the whatever. All right. So here we go. Hi. I'm sending this as a potentially a spoiler for a quest in Update 26, but was so frustrated with it myself that I think it is worth reading out, but with a spoiler warning. In this area, you find the pots that goblin sappers throw at you throughout the game, the ones that set you on fire. You pick it up, and this is the quest text that you get for Sundergrot mining sappers. Bestowal. The old dwarf hold of Sundergrot lays in partial ruins next to the Floodfells. Its halls are now home to many goblins intruding upon the abandoned dwarf structure. You should dispose of the goblins mining sappers found in Sundergrot in order to protect the halls of this old structure from collapse. Background. The old dwarf hold of Sundergrot lays in partial ruins next to the Floodfells. Its hall is now home to many goblins. Objective. Sundergrot can be found in the Floodfells. You should dispose of mining sappers found in Sundergrot. You pick up the pot in an area infested with goblins, and you cannot attack them while carrying the pots. But they can and will attack you. If you click on the carrying icon for the pot, it states you have abandoned the item. If you keep the pot for long enough, then it explodes, kills you, and you get a trip to the res circle. And then at least 30 minutes of difficult fighting to get back to your current location.
Ouch.
This is what you actually need to do. The sapper pots are near wooden bridges. You need to pick up the pot and run to the middle of the wooden bridge, at which point they disappear, and that one is one down. I'm hoping that SSG updates the quest text in a patch, because you need to be psychic to work out what to do with these to complete the quest. Hope everyone is keeping safe. Glamborn from Landroval.
I can only hope I remember this when I get to it.
I know, right?
Thank you for the instructions and warning, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
SSG seems to have several places where they've worded something really, really, and
it's interesting because
really.
In other places that it's like so super clear what it is you're supposed to do. Like I complain about it frequently. The Holly Hornblower pie quest, where every single hobbit you get a pie from tells you where her house is. Like you don't already know where the house is because obviously you're coming from her in the first place. But stuff like that. So and then we have this quest where they tell you that you should do a thing, but they don't really tell you how to do the thing or where to do the thing, or just leave it up to. Yeah, so this is a place where we could use some clarity.
Yeah. And that reminded me of another weird thing in this update. And that has to do with there's a point where apparently you run into warg riders. Now, I haven't actually gotten to this point yet, but apparently the version of the warg riders they have are the Rohan type warg riders, not the Moria type warg riders.
Oops.
Which means that they're doing mounted combat.
Ruh-roh.
And you could just imagine trying to do level 130 mounted combat.
It's probably every bit as annoying as trying to do mounted combat at level 75.
Well, actually, it's worse. Because your worsties are in absolutely, positively no way leveled up since you've left Rohan.
Yeah, they did. They added 10 more levels.
Well, what I meant by that, I meant in effectiveness.
Well, okay, but to be fair, they weren't all that effective in Rohan.
all right. Point taken, considering how in Rohan I was just doing.
I don't expect it to be any less frustrating or any more frustrating than it is to do mounted combat in Rohan.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Mounted combat is not a combat, it just sucks. Worsties are great because they can travel really well, but mounted combat really needs some work because chasing an enemy that drags you through 6 other mobs that will kill you before you can kill the first thing that you're on, yeah, that's a problem.
That is a problem, which is why I normally just stay in my place and throw javelins at them.
Right.
And despite the fact that they really like going way, 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 way out there. Okay, set my watch 5 minutes for them to come and return before I can throw the javelins again. What? What are you doing? I mean, that's ridiculous to go halfway across the zone in the middle of combat.
Like, I'm not chasing you out there. You can come back to me.
I had a mob today that decided that it was going to run so far away that it reset. I was playing at the point where he spawned, and he went out on his own initiative to ridiculous points of level to reset. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So yes, mounted combat. needs a great deal of work on that. Though I think they haven't exactly decided what they're going to do yet, I got the impression of, but Made of Lions said it may be possible that the developers mistook Warg Riders, as in the Moria type, for Warg Riders, as in the Rohan type. It would have been nice if they had slightly different names without the exact same text in their name. Yeah.
They need a third type of Warg Rider, which is the Gundabad type.
Well, I think. Well, will they be any different than the Moria type?
Well, yeah, because they're from Gundabad.
Well, when I say, I think it wasn't the label in front that made the difference, but I meant the fact that you had this template called Warg Rider, and
yeah,
the
I
two
know that,
templates
but
were
the
called the exact.
Moria ones have been in Moria for who knows how long. The Gundabad ones are ones that never went to Moria.
Well,
obviously
yes.
they're going to function differently than the ones that have been crawling around the Dwarf Keep underground and learning how to navigate across broken bridges and whatnot.
Well, I don't know what Gundabad's going to be like, so.
It's not going to be like Moria, I can tell you that.
Just for that, the devs have heard they're going to make it exactly like Moria 2.
I mean, Gundabad is supposed to be an abandoned dwarf keep, so you're going to have some of the same architecture. But I picture Gundabad as more kind of like Skarhald.
I get the impression that it might be larger than that. Well, I think
larger than Skarhald, but I mean, and you'll have parts of it that are in the mountain probably. But it's not obviously not anywhere near as expansive as Moria, because Moria is canonically the biggest and largest of the dwarf holds ever.
Well, there is that.
I mean, it was a marvel of dwarven engineering and technology and yada yada craftsmanship. And there is nothing else like Moria ever anywhere. Period. End of discussion. So, they can draw elements of Moria for Gundabad, but it's not going to be another Moria.
All right, I'll give you that. Then with that, you got everything there? Yes. If you would like to email us, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @Players Ally, LOTRO Players @LOTRO Players, Arendis @Arendis, Piney Pit Piney Needle, Senswin @Senswin, Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin, Guarendis @Nidashell, and Calabathian @Calabathian. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have the LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our shows at lotrplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Probably Mules reminding you to socialize responsibly.